Hey guys, it's Delora Dabbles here, and I did have a mental breakdown on TikTok. If you don't follow me on TikTok, yeah, that video got lots of views. Those two videos. However, I'm very much a leave things the way you found them type of person, and with occult philosophy. And knowing that we're currently in an age of chaos, it's fine. Life always fluctuates like a pendulum between chaos and order. It's just the way of nature. I lost my peace about that because I moved back to Mobile and I re-traumatized myself because I have complex PTSD, right? But I also have a spectrum disorder of some kind of neurodivergency at the very least, because severe early developmental trauma wires your brain in a specific way. Okay? Keep in mind that poverty is violence, and I grew up here in Mobile, Alabama. I grew up in the 36606, right? Pleasant Valley by B&H, Maitrey Park, right? Like, very like part of Maysville, like an extension of Maysville, right? Like a little bit nicer. My dad lovingly jokingly, I'm not ashamed of where I'm from, jokingly, lovingly refers to that stretch of the neighborhood of Pleasant Valley and all that, the upper ghetto, right? Like we're just a little... We're upper lower class. And it's a funny joke, right? But poverty is violence, guys. And Mobile is a very, very impoverished and therefore very emotionally, right, violent place. I mean, domestic violence is awful here, and there is such a mental health crisis going on that Zen Master me from Houston moved here thinking that she could fix her parents, right? Well, guys, if I could tell you some of the shit, but honestly, I'm just going to write a book about it, maybe. Who knows? I digress, though. Poverty is violence out here. I got into occult philosophy because I'm feral. I'm the feral kind of neurodivergent. I am neurodivergent because of severe neglect. You see, just like cats and dogs, if a cat grows up in the wild, they are feral. They act a certain kind of way, right? Versus a cat who has been domesticated. Either they were born in domestication, right? Or someone took the time to lovingly domesticate them. I want to take this chance right now to shout out all of H-Town, all of Houston, for being kind to me, because I am feral. I'm the feral kind of autistic, jokingly, because of that sort of thing. So, and anybody who had to grow up in extreme violence and extreme poverty and see your adult loved ones be in a cycle of addiction, whether that addiction was to men or women, relationships in general, or to substance abuse or alcohol. We are feral, but there is always a better way. And all of my family in Houston, y'all know who y'all are. Y'all domesticated me. Y'all were the Gilgamesh to my Enkidu, except y'all didn't let me die. I want to sit with that for just a moment because my thyroid is out of whack, and I am experiencing some mild hypomania due to my thyroid disorder. Your thyroid regulates your brain chemistry, your metabolism, your fertility, all kind. It is the hormone center of your body, okay? And I did emotionally flashback very, very, very hard. And there's a quickening with PTSD, right? You'll flashback, and then you'll heal, and then you'll flashback, and then you'll heal, but then eventually the emotional flashbacks just outpace your conscious thinking sometimes, and we relapse. Because you can heal from PTSD, and you can heal from CPTSD. While I was in my state of whip up, because I made the mistake of living with my parents again, my mom was spinning me up. And this time I was so exhausted and so re-traumatized that I let her spin me up. I completely fucking lost control. I let everyone around me fucking spin me up. And I lost fucking control. But, shout out to my roomie, who was a combat medic in the army, and gently wrestled me to the ground and let me cry in his arms, and then gave me an emergency anxiety med to calm me the fuck down. Also, shout out to the family doctor. I am so sorry, sir, for all of this. I really, really hope that you have drinking buddies that are doctors that y'all joke about my family too. Like, I really, really hope that you don't take our weirdness seriously. I really, really hope that he does joke about it. Anyway, I digress. Thank you, and shout out to that doctor. We don't name names on the internet, though. I'm learning boundaries because I'm feral. But occult philosophy taught me boundaries a really long time ago. But this is one of those things that I know I should share. So if you've stuck with me through this, this is kind of your little prize treat. I'm going to tell you about this piece of living, loving art that I made for myself. I bought this as a, future art project. Oh my God, that's awesome. And even if I don't paint it, it's awesome. And then it's an excuse to paint something because I really like to paint things when I'm manic. However, because of my extensive therapy at the Heights Anxiety and Depression Center, if you are experiencing any of that in Houston and you're looking for really, really good trauma-informed therapy, the Heights Anxiety and Depression Center, I promise you. I digress. Anyway, I just really, 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 because this is so important, but I'm also manic, so blah, blah, blah. But occult philosophy helps you navigate mania, because there are always going to be points in your life, whether you're an armchair magician or you are a high priestess of blah, 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 okay? Or whether you are just an incredibly traumatized, right? Very lost, feral person looking for a sense of safety and faith, right? I fall into the last category. That was what drew me into magic. Because what happened was me and my siblings, we're feral. We're feral. And I've met so many people who are becoming very undomesticated. Did you guys know that whenever pigs are left in the wild, it only takes but like a few months for that pig, that domesticated pig, to start growing wiry hair and their teeth start to become tusks again. You can be domesticated and undomesticated. Yeah. Anyway, this is how I re-domesticate myself, because right now, America, I do not want to be domesticated by America anymore. Those are not the proper standards. That is so counter to my core. As someone who's been through what I've been through, who's seen what I have seen, right? Who has had the visions that I have had, because my feral brain and my domesticated brain are friends. And whenever I am at peace with myself, in perfect love and perfect trust, right? Because The Craft, what a phenomenal movie on feminism. On feminism and grief and surviving trauma in a world that, like, how do you heal when the world is constantly trying to re-traumatize you? Girl Interrupted. I mean, come on. We've been through this, and some people still aren't listening to us women folk. But that's all right, because us women folk have always had our way. Us neurodivergent folk. Magic is the language of the oppressed. My friend Brian at the Cauldron loves to say that, and he reminded me of that on my trip. And I needed that reminder. I needed that little breadcrumb, right? This is why we have to, no matter how depressed we get, we have to put on our jewelry that makes us feel good, right? Even if there's no practical use for it. See, I'm feral, right? So I stopped seeing the practical use in dressing in a way that would bring violence upon me. But I'm so feral and manic right now that I'm far too exposed. I was re-traumatized. I have to some extent become undomesticated again. I have to communicate that to people. And the best word I have found is to say I'm feral. Because it's not that I'm narcissistic, it's just that my focus is really all over the place right now. I have some weird, when I was in my state of whip up and I was emotionally flashbacking, I was re-experiencing everything, because that's how PTSD works. But there were some things that should have better been left buried. But at the same time, I used my breakdown as a breakthrough by introducing ritual practice into, like, I wanted to immediately start the healing process. I was spiraling. I don't know if I hit bottom. I don't know if I hit bottom and was wallowing there. All I know is that the moment I realized what was happening with me, I went into ritual. Okay? But I'm also feral and probably took my ritual a little bit too far. But that's okay, because that's why we come down from the mountain, right? We go up to the mountain, we do our ritual, and then we walk back down the mountain. Once we are safely back in the valley, right? That's why you don't talk about your magic right away. That's why sometimes you impulsively can't talk about your magic yet, right? Very briefly, this is an example of a concept, because I told myself this video would only be 15 minutes. And I decided to be a little bit manic and ergo narcissistic by talking about myself instead of this. But, you know, maybe that's what I needed to do. I don't know. I'll review this video and I'll decide whether or not it's, you know, good for public consumption. I digress. Make art, not arguments, was something I scribbled, right? The prayer palm, Hamsa, right? And all of the, you know, all of the movements that encompass this energy, this flow, right, is exactly what I need to channel right now. Because sometimes when you're feral, it's really hard to ask for help. But a long time ago, this very, very lovely man from the Middle East, gave me a present, and he shared his culture with me. And this person made me feel so safe. And I wanted to capture that in a piece of artwork that's for me to live in my home, right? Something beautiful that I can look at every day, right? Because sometimes when you have complex PTSD, your emotional flashbacks are very intense, and they do leave you feeling super raw, and you can get stuck in processing mode, right? Okay. There is a very, very ancient and powerful pattern moving through the world right now. And I feel it in my body. I feel it in my psyche. And I don't know how to explain that to other people. But it's something that people need to know right now. That's why I say it's important to have your faith and to stick to it. Making this for myself, I turned my armchair magicianism and half-ass ritualism, right, into physical mental therapy. Because I know that right now my mind is chaos. And if the world is going to be chaos, I need to be order. Because as above, so below. And physical mental therapy is what you're going to have to do if you're living in poverty and have no access to resources. Something beautiful you get to look at every day. Even if it's a smiley face on your wrist. Even if it's a poem. Even if it's something that you wrote down in the height of a manic episode, right? Because the abuse cycle, right? The cycle of abuse grooms your brain to be more addicted to things. You have to protect yourself. Everyone does. I'm saying this as much to myself as I am saying it to everyone that I love and care about, as I'm saying it to anyone who finds this video right now. Turn your faith into something beautiful that you can look at every day, regardless of what your faith is. Whether it's Jesus, whether it's yourself, whether it's your grandmother, right? Something that you can look at every day to remind yourself. Because if you guys think that what's happening right now is bad, if we don't break this pattern, because again, I'm on the spectrum, and again, I study ancient cultures. I especially really love the rise and fall of empires, okay? And I'm having a manic episode, so I'm probably reading too much into it and establishing a false premonition, right? Because that is super common. Crowley talks about this. How amazing is it right now that I have a thyroid disorder and I am experiencing hypomania? Meditate, love yourself, and they will never be able to control your emotions. If you can control your own emotions in a time of crisis, you deserve something that looks 10 times as beautiful as this. And in perfect love and perfect trust, you can make it yourself out of things that the universe lays before you. You just have to find them. If you're walking down the sidewalk and someone dropped an earring, pick that bitch up. Who cares who's watching, right? Take it home. After a week, or you feel like you've got a little something going on, throw that shit together. Do a little bit of sewing, do a little bit of whatever, melt shit together, hot glue gun, duct tape, I don't care. Make yourself play. Make that part of your practicum, because right now, with all of the weird energies that I'm experiencing personally, this is the only thing that has helped me get through this in a healthy, loving way to myself and the people around me, given what I've been through in my life. Frame that, okay? If you're not going to watch the whole video, don't watch any of it. From start to finish. Set the time aside to do that. It's very important that you do. Anywho, I hope that y'all have a really, really wonderful day. I want to share just one little more specific thing. I wrote a prayer on the back, right? And then obliterated it with paint. This piece is 80% art, 20% ritual. Right? That's why I can share it. Because nothing is as black and white as anybody thinks it is. And your personal practice should reflect neuroplasticity, and it should reflect open-mindedness. I think Hermeticism is one of my most favorite philosophies within the occult philosophical umbrella for that reason. So I'm going to let you guys go with that. It's been 21 minutes. I forgive myself though. 21 minutes after so long without posting. And with it being so highly personal and vulnerable, I think I do trust people to watch it from start to finish. So I hope that you guys found something useful out of my ramblings and my discussion with you guys. I do want to carry the discussion forward in the comment section. If you want to, I want to get into using social media more. If I can get a consensus on what people like, I want to start making my TikTok and my YouTube more of like a cohesive whole with each other as opposed to keeping them separate. I don't think it's good for people with neurodivergencies to compartmentalize too much when they're in a healing state. I'm in a healing state. And I know that a lot of people need to enter a healing state right now. We're all so exhausted. So, make art, not arguments, guys. And I'm going to do my best to continue to live in perfect love and perfect trust with my body, because that movie did have an impact on my subconscious mind. And it got me through a lot of dark times. And comfort shows might not make sense to other people. I try not to get embarrassed about it anymore. And neither should you guys. So until next time, happy dabbling and bye-bye.